All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Once again, this beautiful Thursday. Come on in, take a seat. Have a seat, sit down. Welcome to today's Thursday session. Medicine Tribe Television, presents the real medicine segment. And today's amazing guest is someone that perhaps I'm sure a lot of you already know and love. I'm a huge fan. And that is the legendary Trevor Hall. So we're going to get him on here and have a chat with him today and see how the GOAT is faring during these times, during these interesting times. Sure. This is going to be a good one. Woo!
Yo, yo, yo.
There he is.
Is it working?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Crucial.
Dude, you look so cute.
Bro, what's good, bro?
I'm loving the kerchief. You look like I'm ready to like sit by the fire with you and like hear
I'm
some
trying.
songs.
I'm trying. I just built a fire, actually.
Oh, really? That's the vibe.
It's snowing outside, so.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous day here in Oregon. The sun is shining, periodic clouds. Forecast looks gray, but enjoying the blue sky while it lasts. You guys have, it's like Colorado, it's just gorgeous out even when it's snowing.
Yeah, it's just kind of wild because it can be like, yesterday was like 66 degrees, like gorgeous day. Today it's like super cold and snowing, and then it just, it's just up and down. But yeah, I like the changes. I like the variety, just different, inspirations with each pattern, I guess, of weather. But I'm definitely ready for some sunshine and some shorts, flip-flops.
Ooh. Oh, the tiny short days. They're gonna come back. Thanks for joining us today, sir.
Yeah, man, this is
on
cool.
the old Instagram. And yeah, I'm so happy to see your face and get a chance to chat to you. How does a Trevor Hall deal with isolation and quarantine times?
Man, I don't know. I think it's just like a day by day thing. I think, there's so many emotions, and I think at first it was kind of like trying to understand like how seriously should I take this, like there
Totally.
was that thing of like, oh, like, is this just going to be like a thing, or like, God, it seems intense, but like, is it intense? Like, so there was just that thing of like, I don't know like how this is going to sit, like, should I worry about, all this stuff. It was kind of weird for us because, my wife, Emery, had her Nepal trip planned, and
Oh, well.
she was taking a group of people over to Nepal. They're supposed to be there now,
Oh,
And
wow.
so, like, back in January, like, we were discussing every day as the situation was kind of getting worse and worse. And Nepal, borders China, and hearing all these different reports, and is it wise to do, and all this stuff. And she ended up canceling her trip. But like at that time, like never did I think like I was going to have to cancel it, a tour.
Sure, yeah.
I just thought like it was just this far off thing. So, but in saying that, it was like we were dealing with it kind of early, like in our lives, or I guess our personal lives, because of her
Yeah,
trip.
sure.
But I didn't think, that it was going to be what it is now, but now, like, I just, I think, it's just like a day by day thing. It's weird because like when I'm home anyway, I am kind of an introvert. I kind of just take my time to like take care of myself or work on music or my practice or like whatever it is. So like that part's not as different.
Sure.
But now there is that thing like in the back of your mind, like it kind of pops up, you know, like I go for a walk and there's like nobody on the streets, or like,
Yeah.
you know,
Those
so
times.
it's just kind of, each day varies, like each moment varies, but I'm
Because
just
you
trying
had
to,
like, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was like, man, because you had Red Rocks lined up with Citizen Cope and Rising Up, and you had like
Yeah.
so all that stuff did that get moved?
It got postponed till the fall. I mean, we were lucky to have
Another
gotten
date in there.
because, you know, everybody right now is kind of, everybody's
Scrambling,
stuff
reschedule.
canceled. Everybody's trying to fight for venues and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, make sure that they can make it up to their communities and fans. But I was pretty blown away that we
That
pretty
it got
much,
to that.
yeah, we pretty much got all the same venues, and we're Red Rocks is now, on October 11th, but
Mm.
it's just wild. It's still like kind of, every day it's like a slight bit of shock when you like let it
Totally.
all freak in, you know?
Yeah, it was at the top of like last week or the top of 2 weeks ago, I suppose, when it sort of really sunk in with me. And I think we actually got on the phone and chatted because I was like, yo, wow, this is really going to be much, this is going to go a lot farther than that initial feeling of like, well, I was in the
Right,
same place as you. I was like, is this going to be as bad as it seems?
right,
And you know, now having like nothing going, like I won't be working, I won't be out on the road until who knows, until the summer, maybe July, August, you know.
right,
Uh, but even then, it's like, what's going to happen? It's like so many small time promoters that we have worked with before have lost their jobs,
right,
you know, and it's like going to leave us in this interesting space, the industry, the music industry alone, like every industry. But at the same time, I do hold an extreme positive side of things that the rebuild will be fortuitous, and that there will be many amazing things that come out of this, and
right,
also that we don't fall back into any kind of normality, or you know,
right,
I'm sure there will be sides of that that do take place,
right,
uh, because like, is the majority ready for an entirely different way of living?
right, right.
You know, is it that time? I
Yeah.
don't know yet. It's hard to say.
Yeah, that'll be a really interesting. I've definitely thought a lot about that. That'll be a very interesting thing to witness. Who knows? You know, who knows? It's just wild, man. It's just wild.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
but I don't know.
What kind of at home like things have you been doing? I know you've been I know you've been playing some PS4. I heard from your friend Aaron Rodgers that you guys are playing NHL all the time.
Oh man, it's kind of funny. Like I didn't really like. I'm not really like a gamer, you know. Like I don't know, like, but
Just kind of
like,
happened, huh?
well, being on tour, like, um, our like merch guy. It all started. Our merchandise manager brought his PS4 on the bus, and like after a show, it was just like a thing just to wind down, you know, because your
Totally.
adrenaline's buzzing, and like
Yep.
I don't know. It's just like my way of like, I just got done, you know, whatever. And then it was like, man, this is really fun. I gotta get one of these, you know. So like, so then like I got home and got one, and then my friend Clay, who's like one of my best friends, we figured out that we could play each other online.
Oh
So
yeah.
so like whenever we need like a break in the day, it'd be like, let's play a game, right?
Yep. Knock
And
a
then
game out.
so it's just me and Clay though. It's just like our thing, like our like
Right.
special like bond, whatever. And then Clay and Krista, his wife, they went over to Aaron's house to. Krista was doing an interview with Danica and a podcast thing, and they did it at the house. And while they're at the house at the dinner table, Clay brought up that he plays like PS4 with me, and I guess Aaron's like really into games. So Aaron's
You
so
you think?
Aaron's eyes like, yeah, I know, right? So Aaron's eyes just kind of like lit up, I guess, and he ended up going to buy. And now we like, it's funny. It's like we play all the time, but it's cool. It's like a good thing. Like we connect every day. Like we FaceTime. We just talk about what's going on. How you doing today? Like it's just a fun way to like, blow off some steam. I think it's like important like to have something that, especially now, that is just, you can just kind of make
Switch
sure
off, right?
well, make sure you're having some fun,
Yes.
And, it's like when you look at like other countries that are, or other places or people that are like, I don't know, like have difficulties, like whether it's poverty or government oppression or like whatever, like they still throw festivals, they still celebrate, with music and community, it's like no matter how difficult or how the times are, they still manage to like have fun, whether it's like just playing a game or like, playing music. So here we are, all of us now, and we're like, I think it's just important to just make sure you have some little thing where you can blow off some steam, So that's been my thing with Aaron Rodgers is playing PS4.
What's funny is like I was like, well, what am I doing right now to blow off steam? And I was like, oh yeah, I don't know if maybe you'll know this, but like I love going out and shooting targets. So like my way of blowing steam is taking a shotgun out into the woods and like pew 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 pew, getting ready for the zombie apocalypse. I don't think we see, the thing is like, I'm a mountain boy, I'm a country boy at heart.
Yeah.
But like, the Islander came out in me in my 20s in a big way, and it's like still so there, like playing in the ocean and like in the jungles, collecting fruit, like riding horses on the beach, whatever the fuck. But like, but when I'm in the country where I live now, it's like I do straight country boy shit. Like I'll have the big bonfire going,
I feel like you've always been like that though. Like you've always been like that, like wherever we go, or like God, in Australia, or like, I remember going.
Oh yes.
Oh man, it's just like, it's always kind of been there, but now that you're like in that environment, it's probably like really magnified.
Yeah, like chopping the firewood vibes, like chopping wood, carrying water, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have been all around the world together, haven't we?
We have, man. We've been blessed. I mean, you've introduced me to a lot of different places and countries and people, it's like we my first time in Australia, tour in Australia, was
that's right. Yeah.
And that was a long one, man. That was like a month. We played.
Yeah, we were there for a long time.
And then obviously my first couple times in Europe, those were really amazing.
Yep, the solo tour was epic.
So yeah, we've definitely been around. That's for sure.
I remember being in Europe and putting together my like story about you, and my whole like I turned it into like a bit.
Oh yeah.
That was
that I got to hear every single night.
The story about how I met Trevor Hall. Yeah, you heard it like for 2 weeks. Was it 2 weeks at one point? And then we went back later in the summer and did another 2 weeks.
I heard it for another week.
Yeah, and the story bombed. Like I think it was in the first show we played that summer in July. We played in Rome.
Rome, yeah.
And I thought I was so funny because I had this Trevor Hall story, and I was like, everybody wants to hear this Trevor Hall story for sure. But nobody laughed. There was no laughter.
That was a weird show.
It was like, shout out to our Italian fans. But I remember I went into the crowd afterwards and I was like, did you guys get my jokes about Trevor? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay.
My favorite, just because we're talking about that tour, my favorite moment of that tour was when we were in Zurich. Remember when we played that venue that was like right on the river?
Right on the river, yeah.
And it was called Dynamo, I think.
Yeah,
And
wow, good memory.
and I really loved Zurich because it was just so beautiful and the river flowing there, and like it was summer and people were like jumping in the water
Yeah,
off the
having
bridge.
picnics and yeah,
Yeah, it was just like a really good, fresh like energy. But I remember walking with Bobby Alou, who was touring
dead.
with us. You were like sound checking, so like we just took like a walk outside the venue and we're on the bridge like hanging out, and there's two guys and a girl like jumping off into the water swimming
Oh yeah, I know the
like
story.
homegirl. Yeah. So the girl like Bobby starts talking to this girl, and they're like, oh, she's like, where are you from? Bobby's like, oh, I'm from Australia, and this is my friend Trevor, he's from the States, and she's like, oh, cool, and how do you like Switzerland, whatever.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
and then she's like, what are you guys doing tonight? And Bobby's like, oh, we're just, Bobby's such a jokester, so he's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're just hanging out, and she's like, oh, well, you guys should come and see this concert tonight. And she's like, it's Nahko and Medicine for the People, and he brought some friends, and he's like really amazing. And Bobby and I are like, oh, cool, like, yeah, we're trying to make it, right? And then she goes, it's kind of like a hippie thing, but like really good. Like it's really,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then she's like, what's your name? Like looks at me like, and I'm like, oh, hey, I'm Trevor, And she's like, Trevor? That's so funny because the guy that's opening, she still like wouldn't get up. She's like, the guy that's opening for Nahko, his name's Trevor. I'm like, oh, cool. That's so funny. What a coincidence. And then she's like, okay, see you later, whatever. And then that night, like I walk out on stage and she is front row, front person. And her face just, oh, dude, it was like the fun. And I told the story from the stage. I told like,
Oh shit. You
but that was
roasted her.
definitely one of my favorite moments and favorite nights of that run, that Switzerland show. Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like just, I mean, man, when we went to Australia and then like, I guess like Indonesia too, like going to Indo together,
Yeah,
like
Bali.
riding around on bikes and like
Yeah.
hanging out with Franti out there and like going to the water temples and
Yeah.
man, so many adventures. And just think back to like uh when I first saw you play was at Shangri-La,
Right.
and I had actually heard about your music like years before that in Hawaii. Literally like the third day that I was in Hawaii, like somebody put a CD in the car and it was your music, and I was like,
Right.
who is this old grandfather voice coming through the speakers? I was like, this is like, I'm sure everyone listening understands what I mean when it's like, because your music is so grounding for me and for everybody, and it really, I think, brings us into that feeling of feeling like safe to have our expression and have our emotional process. And it really inspired me, and it brought me into my own space of creativity as well, where I could tap into the inner prayer and tap into that inner heaven as well. And
Right.
so, you were so inspiring for me. And then when I met you, I
It
was
all
like, of
went.
course, it all just fucking went away. I was like, I'm like verging on this story where I was like trying to like tell you. I was like, saw you at the merch table, and I was like, hey man, here's my phone number, man.
Oh man.
But it's true. I mean, your music is so versatile. Like I could listen to it in ceremony. I could listen to it in meditation space. I could listen to it on a long drive. I could listen to it in the bathtub, on the toilet, whatever it is. Like all these places that you listen to sacred music at. And like, what's in store? What do you got? You must be working on a bunch of stuff now that you're at home, right?
Yeah, I mean it's I find it's kind of interesting that both of us have kind of knew, you're a little ahead of me as in the album cycle. You've already started to got a date and release.
Mm.
But still we're kind of in the same zone where you know, it's like, I don't know about you, but for me, like when I'm on the road, um, I'm in that mode, you know, and then when I'm like in recording,
Yeah.
I'm very much like in that mode.
Yeah, it's
And
hard to do them all at the same
how
time
you
and shit.
kind of like forget, like when you're in touring mode, you kind of forget about recording mode, and then I don't know, it goes
Yeah.
back and forth. But um, it's interesting that we're kind of in this crazy time, and we're both have projects coming out. But I recently, it was pretty crazy because I was in North Carolina in Durham, recording my new album with an incredible human being named Brad Cook, who
Mm.
has done a lot of Bon Iver stuff, and his
Oh,
golden
sick.
his Golden Messenger and Bruce Hornsby, all these people. Um,
This is a new producer that you haven't, this is the first time you worked with him?
yeah, first time.
Awesome.
I went out to Durham for like 3 days, like I think in early January, just to like catch a feel with him, and
Hmm.
we totally hit it off. And because I had all these songs at home, like recording, and I recorded some songs with my band in Ohio at our drummer's recording studio, and which we were really proud of. And I was kind of in this space of, do I do this on my own, you know, or do I do this with a producer? And I was kind of just kind of on the fence.
Mm.
And when I
Hmm.
went to go meet Brad and hang out with Brad, it was kind of like a trial for me. Like, oh, I'll know after this, you know, if I'm going to do this
Sure.
on my own, you know. Um, but when I met Brad, yeah, we just really hit it off, and I just wanted to continue growing, you know. I wanted
Hmm.
to continue to like push the boundaries and continue to evolve, you know. And it's really helpful when you have somebody, a producer, or not, doesn't have to be a producer, but just somebody there to,
Help guide the vision.
yeah, just push you a little bit, like ask you, hey, can you dig deeper on this, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
So Brad was definitely that guy for me. And but I went to North Carolina. I lived there in Durham for like 3 weeks, and every day going over to his house recording this record. And as we were recording it, you know, the COVID-19 thing was starting to
Mm.
really like happen, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was just interesting because I know that, you know, like when you're in a recording process, it's like the outside world like doesn't exist. You know,
Yeah.
it's like your whole life is recording. It's like
You're
wake
just
up.
in
Yeah. So it was interesting because we were like hearing these things, you know, and then but we were like in our world, you know. Um, but I'm really like grateful that we got it done, because like if we didn't get it done, like who knows when I'd be able to go see him again and finish it, and the album would probably be released next year sometime, you know, if I
So
didn't.
you slammed that whole recording process out in 3 weeks?
Yeah, yeah.
Dang.
But we
That's
had, you know, I had recorded a lot of the stuff at home, and
yeah,
I
you do
kind I,
amazing recordings at home.
I
Yeah, for
kind of
sure.
did all the pre-production stuff. But Brad was just like a really hard worker, and he's such a good producer, and he knows his process so well that I just had to trust him to put all the pieces
Sure.
together. But anyway, we got it all in the bag, you know. Obviously it has to be mixed and everything, you know. We put out a song a week ago or so, but that song was written and recorded with my band in Ohio at Jeff's place,
The
and
song that you did with Brett Dennen,
with Brett. Yeah.
epic
um,
song. Everybody
yeah,
should go listen to that.
yeah, so that's out. But so the album is interesting because I do have some stuff that we did as a band, you know, in last October, and then
Hmm.
the majority of it will be me and Brad. But yeah, this album's really different. You know, I feel like the Fruitful Darkness was, um, I was going through, right, the Saturn Return, and
Hmm.
a lot of the songs that were born out of, or for that album, were born out of struggle, or even if there were joyous songs, it was still kind of from
Hmm.
a heart, you know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
kind of that the darkness of the inner journey, whatever.
Hmm.
Where I feel like this album is more like, um, I feel like it's a little more like human, like it's a little more like celebratory, it's a little more like
Mm.
joyous. Like I feel like I was having fun, like really like having a fun time, like just the
Hmm.
joy of like creation, which I'm really excited for people to hear. I mean, obviously there are some songs on there, it's, oh, that was a hard time, or like this and that, but
Sure.
um, I'm excited to, I'm grateful to be in that space, to be in
Yeah.
the joyful space. And I'm also just excited for people to hear that energy that's maybe not so serious, not so like, let's get into all the stuff, you know?
Yeah, well, you made it outside. You made it out the other end of the tunnel, right? And like
Mhm.
now you're in this new space,
Right,
and you'll go through these these different chapters that
right,
you won't uh, time and again. And so you're writing about that experience, and it's I'm excited for these kinds of songs. I feel like um, the spectrum of your ability to touch on so many different issues and emotional processes, from very personal stories
right,
to something that feels more collective, or even the love songs, whether they're, you know, however they get directed,
right.
it's like prayerful, and
Yeah,
even the celebratory songs,
yeah.
are always prayerful, and so uh, that's exciting. I mean, you probably can't share the name of the album yet or anything like that,
Well, to
right?
be honest, I don't really have it yet.
Right.
I, for me, like I don't try to like put a theme on it until all the songs have kind of sat together. That they kind of tell me, you know, what the album's name is, or the theme.
Sure.
Of course, I have some ideas, but I honestly I don't even, you know, have any of the roughs what we recorded. They're all like being sent to our mixer, and
Got it.
I have some ideas, but it's honestly it's just way early for me still, you
And
know.
then
But
and then you were saying also that it's gonna come out this year, right? So
yeah, we're hoping that it comes out like in October, in the fall. Uh, sometime in the fall. But we want to, you know, we want to. I'm not going to do the same thing as I did with like the Fruitful Darkness, where it was like, you know, part one, part two, part.
sure,
I'll just be releasing singles, kind of like what you're doing. Um, I don't know how many we'll do before the album, but
sure.
just want to put a few out, you know, get the excitement going, and then put it out.
What,
Uh,
like we've got 30 songs, Trev?
no, no, no. God,
Wow.
we recorded like between Ohio and being with Brad, I think we recorded about 18, but obviously 18 won't.
Yeah.
What about like how are you feeling with Take Your Power Back, and like where that's
Mm.
talk to us about. I mean, I'm sure you have with your fans, but like
Not too much. I guess for
yeah,
one thing I'm glad is that we didn't have to change our release date. That was
right,
something that was up in the air,
yeah,
and we were able to keep the release date on May 15th.
right,
Um, I was trying to plan some kind of like listening party, or like some kind of like thing we could do with the crew, the
right,
fans, but obviously we can't be kicking it. So
right.
uh, I remember you did like a live when you put out. God, I can't remember what album it was, but you put out something, and we got to watch you. I think it was on YouTube. We watched you like play the whole thing acoustic.
Well, yeah, well, for the Fruitful Darkness, we did a live kind of. We like rented this cool place in Hollywood, and like, and
You did have the band with you, I feel like, maybe.
but then I think you're thinking of Chapter of the Forest. I did like a whole live thing
That's what I remember. Yeah.
on YouTube. Yeah,
Yeah.
Which that'd be pretty cool. I mean, it's
Yeah, I'm thinking of some ideas, you know, I want to make it unique and
right,
whatnot, but we'll see what happens. But it's still coming out, which is great. And
right.
I have never put out singles before.
Yeah, how
So
was that experience?
it was great. I felt like it was so fun to actually take the time, you know, a month apart from each other
Right,
and, you know, have art for each of them, you
right.
know,
Yeah, that was yeah,
have a lyric video for each of them. We found this amazing artist from Amsterdam, this kid named Stein, young guy, just incredibly talented. And actually, uh, the single artwork and the lyric videos that he does, he literally does them by hand. So like they
wow,
are they're hand painted, and then he'll get these different kinds of paper, like mixed media style. The guy's a real artist,
right,
and he'll like he'll like spray paint, like for Twisted, he spray painted this all these things, every single lyric,
right.
and then he'll like layer them on top of themselves and then put it into the digital
Digital.
format.
Wow.
Yeah, fascinating. I mean, the guy really works hard on these things.
Yeah,
Um,
they're really cool, and they really each one, even though they're different, they have a very beautiful like artistic
Cohesiveness.
connection. Yeah, cohesiveness
Yeah,
connect. It's really cool.
yeah. So that was great, and it's been cool to observe how uh, the music is being digested. I think like um, in years prior, like our music was so much about the live aspect. Of course, it still is,
Right,
but the consumption of it wasn't necessarily translating to a digital platform.
right.
And so being able to see where you know, you're giving people time to like listen to the songs,
Yeah,
listen to a song for a month, you know, before you
yeah,
hit them with another one,
yeah,
um, was kind of fun, you know, like
yeah. I'm
uh,
of that.
yeah, and then you get to like hear people's feedback from the song. They get their time to digest it all
Right.
and consider. You know, a lot of folks would be like, oh, like some of the new sounds I'd be putting out. They at first they'd be like, I don't know, and then like a week later they'd be like, I love it. And I was like, oh, yeah, take your time. It's all good. You know what I mean? Like, uh, so it was a good experience, and I think
Yeah,
it's as you know, both of us love the whole, you know, reading of the book of it, I guess you could say. It's like,
right,
you know, we both digest music still, where I like to listen to an album from top to bottom.
right.
I like to get the whole theme and you know, the vibes of it. So, in that way, yeah, it's been a joy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think it'll be interesting too that it comes out May 15th.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting that sometimes when we're talking about time, right? Sometimes in the past, at least for me, it's like, oh, let's release this album and then like the day we start touring, or like let's release it, and you're thinking, oh man, everybody's gonna be so excited to hear these new songs, and people don't even know them yet. So
Yeah.
I think it might be beneficial in a way, right, for you to have it. I'm glad that you stuck with that date. It comes out in May, and then the people will have a good amount of time to really let it sink into their,
Hmm.
lives, and I think it'll be uh, more joyous for people when they go to your shows because they'll have
Hmm.
more of a connection to the songs. So it's funny because as artists, we've been like living with the songs for like so much longer. So we're
Yeah.
like,
Like
oh
I'm.
yeah, we're like they're, but people are like, I don't know what this is, like, you know.
Yeah.
So
It's the same way where like uh, um, I don't know why I just thought of this, but Selena Gomez.
right,
I was remembering listening to like one of her interviews when she put out her album, and she's like, yeah, people are sending me all these messages, and you know, like almost concerned for her because you know some of it's very heartfelt stuff.
right,
And
right,
she's like, dude, I was over that a year ago. She's like,
right,
that
right.
happened, that all that stuff was a process from a year ago. I'm like a totally different person now. And
Yeah,
I was like, exactly, girl,
yeah,
exactly. That's how I feel.
yeah,
You know, because it's like we're on this weird thing where you have to like you record it and then you create a strategy and it's just like it's
yeah.
this whole process, you know, and
That's
like
super
a
long
lot of
process.
people it's such a long process and uh you know, when you finally get to the time where the product is out there and you're like, here's my thing, here's my art, you
Right.
know, and then you get the feedback and you're like, great, well, you know, I've definitely kind of on to the next thing already.
Right. Yeah. I always feel that way. I always feel like once it's like actually released, it's like something happens, right? Where it's like it's out and now like I'm a whole new person now.
Hmm.
You know, it's kind of a weird part of the process, but
And then you're like, and then I'm going to play these songs for the rest of my life,
yeah.
over and over again.
It's so true. So true.
So, I mean, for you, like as a, you know, in that way, like, do you feel like it's a cathartic process to do it every night where it's like, you know, it's this sort of, it's a service you're doing for people, right? Like you're,
Right.
you know, the writing process is your own process and that's for you. And then you go out there and you share these songs and these prayers with people, these stories. And, you know, obviously you're receiving from them in that way, but
Right.
how do you perceive your your service to people? Like, do you perceive it as a service in that sense?
Um, that's a good question. I mean, my mind usually, uh, whether it's recording or it's playing live, which is what you're asking. I mean, my mind kind of like when it's going well, my mind kind of like disappears, you know,
Hmm.
and that's why I think music is so healing for me is because it's just one of the only times that I feel at peace or quiet inside. It's funny, you know, you're getting to silence through sound, you know, it's kind of a
Hmm.
mystical experience, you know, and I
Hmm.
feel like when I'm playing live, um, you know, who's the servant and who's the receiver? I don't know.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
like you get into this place of oneness, I think, you know. When it's obviously there's those times where I'm like playing and I'm like, what am I going to eat after this? Or, you know, you
Or I
know,
have to go to the bathroom so bad right
yeah, yeah.
now.
Or like, oh, this person in the front row looks like they hate every
Totally
second of
crushing my
this.
vibe right
Yeah,
now.
you know.
Like, does it
So,
kill you to smile? Like, just
yeah,
smile with me.
I'm not saying like all of that, you know, but when it's going well, it's just this it's like everything melts away, you know, and
Yeah.
I can't tell if I'm playing or something else is playing or who's
You're on like
listening.
autopilot, right? Like it's just
Yeah,
coming through.
it's you yourself become an instrument, you know, and
Hmm.
you're just kind of in this state, but I definitely do see it like as my service, obviously, you know. I think that um it's it's what I can give, you know. I don't know,
Hmm.
you know, and um, I think the attitude of a servant or having that outlook in any aspect of your life is extremely important. I think when you kind of cultivate that attitude, um, work becomes pure in a way, you know.
Hmm.
Whether you're serving tea to somebody or you're sweeping your house or you know playing music on stage in front of thousands of people,
Hmm.
but that space of oneness is when I'm playing is what I live for, you know. That's what helps me keep going, you know, day to
Are
day.
you able to tap in from your own personal spiritual practices and align that with how you approach your stage?
Yeah, I think like I kind of touch that space. I kind of try to cultivate that space when I'm doing my spiritual practices. You know, it's kind of a similar feeling. So it's like almost like music is that path. You know, music is that
Hmm.
tool. They kind of, you know, for me, obviously, here at my music and life, I mean, they're very woven together. and they're not really like two separate things. But it's funny, like how it's like if I haven't been on the road for a while, like I forget, you know. I forget, like when I first get up there, I'm like, oh yeah, like this is what I did, you know.
Oh yeah, this whole thing again.
It's so easy to just like, oh, what do I do, you know? But yeah, it's just it's that space, that thing is the gift, and it's not like I don't feel like I'm giving the gift, you know, because I'm receiving so much love and benefit, you know, healing myself. So it's just kind of it's kind of beautiful how it's like that mystery. But now I'm getting out there.
I was going there with you, bro. I was in it. Cause like when you do go out there, cause like I don't know if many folks out there know about this about you. I mean, you kind of talk about it in your music, especially in the most recent albums, but you're actually like a very skilled astrologer.
I don't know if I'd say. I don't know if I'd say.
Tell us about the stars.
It's a hobby. It's a hobby.
Do you have, okay, as it being a hobby, then like, do you have any kind of like astrological report for us in this moment of where we're at right now?
I'm definitely not the person to ask. I mean, I know who you should ask, and you can ask.
Fair
her.
question.
You
yes,
can ask,
I will.
Yeah, but my attitude has kind of changed a little bit, to be honest. I used to like when I was in that chapter when it was like really heavy for me and like
sure.
Recording the Fruitful Darkness and all that stuff. That was like such a heavy theme, like stars,
yep,
all this stuff. But now I kind of view it like a little differently. I think that we have these things that are teachers for us, that are guides, you know, the star, how they relate and all this stuff. But I think it's important to not like what was happening for me, and I found with other people, is like not letting that dictate your whole life.
Sure.
And I think that there's who created, you know, we can get into all these, you know, questions, but it's like there is something beyond the beyond, you know, that's that the great spirit, the great creator, whatever, that created this whole playground. But my thing now is to I've really been focusing a lot on like surrender, you know, and like, you know, yeah, we're in this really tricky time, and we can analyze it to the ends of the earth, you know, about why it happened or what's going to happen, and what if, you know, it's so easy to fall into that. Well, I got this sign from, you know, whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'm not
takes you out of your presence.
Yeah, I'm not not putting value on those things, but I think you can take it to such an extreme where you're not here, and you're always in a state of worry, or, you know, you're not here. And I think right now, I'm focusing more on just like whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Whatever's not supposed to happen, it's not going to happen. The only thing I can do is surrender and be here now, as our great Baba Ram Dass said, you know. So I've kind of changed my outlook a little bit. I like using the stars and the study of the stars to like teach me about my own person and my own personality, perhaps. But I don't like to use it as a thing of like, I'm going to predict this and that, and what does it mean? Why are we in this space? And I think it's just important to be in the space. And
yeah, because you can easily say, like, you know, as I've done so many times before, where it's like, well, this is happening because we're in this moon and it is in this thing, da, 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 da. And then I kind of forget to, like, you know, when I noticed how I would do that, I was like, oh yeah, but there's so much more to this picture here. And so now you know, it's part of a puzzle, you know, and each piece of that puzzle is another way of looking at through the lens or through different lenses.
Yeah.
And it's an important one to observe, and it can teach us a lot. But yeah, you don't. It's like there's also the grain of salt, and there's also like, you know, it's one aspect of a
Right.
very big puzzle that makes up the great mystery.
Yeah. Like, of course, I get it. But
Is
yeah. Go ahead.
is 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 there any unique or funny things that you are currently doing in a perhaps daily way or not so daily way during isolation? I know you have this incredibly adorable dog.
Oh, dude, my life has
Oh, I
changed.
just want to cuddle this puppy so bad.
My life has completely changed.
You're a whole
I,
new person, huh?
I can't imagine like when you like you see people and they like they like are so crazy about their dogs. They like have a sweater for them, or like, and, or like they feed them like fresh cooked like whatever, and you're like, God, those people are like so wacky. Like,
So extra.
I would do anything for that dog. Like if that dog
Yeah.
wanted a sweater, I'm gonna knit him a sweater. Like I've turned into that person, No, but it's been really beautiful. Like we rescued him from the shelter, and it was like really amazing, like the timing of that he came into our lives, because we were
hmm
thinking about it for a while, and we were going to the shelter like every weekend for like a good couple months. Um, and we got him like right before everything shut down. So it was just this very interesting like timing. Um, but daily, it's been interesting because I'm like such a night owl, and I like that's when I get creative, and that's when I feel like kind of peaceful because everything's quiet, and I could easily stay up till like 3 in the morning, like no problem. Um,
hmm
but as a result, like it was really hard for me to wake up at like a decent hour. I'd wake up at like 11 or 12, and like by the time I like did my practice and like ate breakfast, it'd be like 2.
It's already like, yeah, dude, I'm
Yeah.
in the same. Yeah,
And
exactly.
it was like, oh God. And I love the early morning, like whenever I'm in India or Nepal, like, we're getting up at the crack of dawn. It's just part
Yeah,
of the culture.
yeah.
But Kahlo like wakes me up at like 6 a.m. every morning. And he's gotten me on this just epic schedule, like where I wake up and like take him for a walk as the sun's coming up and it's quiet. And then like I have plenty of time to do practice. And and then usually in the evening, like I've been like walking a lot. I've just been like taking him on like 5 mile walks, 6 mile walks with
Mm.
Emery, and it's just
Some long ass walks.
yeah, it's just been like a good meditation,
Yeah.
and but that's been really helpful. But like any fun things we're doing, I'm rewatching because Emery hasn't seen it,
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
bro.
What is
From
it? What are you watching now?
from episode 1, season 1, we are rewatching Friday Night Lights. Have you watched it?
It's been who knows how long
Bro,
since
I
I've seen
watched
that.
it when I was like, I don't know, 18.
Yeah.
It's so good. I forgot how freaking good it is.
Wow. You're dropping
That's
it back.
Dude, that's been our like kind of nightly thing. We'll like watch a bunch of like Friday Night Lights, and then we'll go to bed.
That's the most recent binge, huh?
That's the most recent binge, man. We of course did. We did the one, the big one right now, Tiger King. We did that. Did you do that?
Oh man. You know, Shay asked me that on Tuesday, and like I watched maybe 30 minutes of it, and I couldn't deal with it in that moment. Like I'm probably gonna finish it,
Yeah.
but it's just like so. It's just like, oh my God, I can't believe these crazy people live out in the world. They're out there, and they got
Yeah.
fucking tigers, and it's just
Yeah,
like,
but
what?
what's wild is like the first episode too. I was kind of like, I don't know if I can watch this. Like, it was just like, oh man, just I don't know. It was just, but after the first episode, it changes. Like, you don't know,
Mm.
like, where it goes, you know? Like,
Mm.
I was like, I don't know if I can watch a whole season of these guys, like, playing with tigers. But
Yeah.
after the first episode, it more focuses on the intricacies of these people's relationships together and their battle.
Hmm.
And it was pretty intense, but
Your
I much
face.
I much prefer Friday Night Lights, man. I like
It
this,
seems
like,
safe for you.
it's very safe. It's very safe. But no, it's just been nice to be in a schedule, you know, and like um it's hard for me to say because I think about so many people that don't have the freedom to just be in a schedule, you know.
Yeah.
Um
Hmm.
they're trying to figure out their jobs and their rent,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it's really just hard to think about. But I'm just trying to do what I can myself to stay positive and be in a healthy mindset and healthy space, because that ultimately vibrates, you know, out.
Hmm.
But it's just, you know, it's just an eerie time. It's a weird time. We don't know what's going to happen, and obviously our prayers are always, you know, trying to be the well wishers for everyone, you know. Um, but it's interesting because, like, these times of I was reading this thing the other day that was really beautiful, but in times like this, I've really been meditating on, like, how something like this kind of cuts us open. Sorry, it says I had 20% battery. Uh, we're all like the same, you know.
Mm.
Like, it doesn't matter if we live in an apartment or somebody's like a millionaire living in a house. Like, this thing affects us, everything. Like, and like, I think about death a lot, and
Mm.
I think that death is something that is not meditated upon enough. And
Mm.
I think that when we are in the face of death, or the fear of death, which a lot of us are in a way right now, right?
Hmm.
Um, you see how everybody becomes equal. Everybody is the same. You
Mm.
know, everybody, this affects everybody. And it may affect them in a different way, but it doesn't matter if you're like a mogul or whoever. Like, you can catch this thing, or it affects you, you know. So I've been thinking about the the quality of things like this. You know, it's like if there's like a tornado or a hurricane in your community, like, everybody just kind of comes together in this equal
Hmm.
space. Doesn't matter who you are, you know. Um, so that's been kind of interesting to think about, even like for me, like personally in my own life, like, fuck, I shouldn't hold on to this shit, you know, or
Hmm.
God, that's really not important right now, or
Right.
wow, I've like identified so much with this, and but now that's being taken away. And those things, I find that's where we can find like the grace, you know, hidden in these times of turmoil or whatever, you know.
Hmm.
But I think that's probably the greatest thing I've taken away from this whole uh, situation, you know, that we're in now, is that we are just all one people, and doesn't matter, like, something, you know, death is coming for us all in a way, and we can either be scared of that, or we can celebrate that and
Hmm.
you know. It's just, it all matters about your, I guess, perspective and stuff, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
But
Yeah, taking this time at home to re well, just look again at
reevaluate.
yeah, reevaluate, look again at our uh, the inner world and the outer world, and
Yeah.
what our perspective of it is, so that when we come out of this, you know, uh, maybe there's some of those blinders aren't down anymore, and
Yeah.
we'll come out of it stronger. And that's
Yeah.
the best we can pray for at this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm just over here doing my push-ups, bro. You know what I'm saying? Mentally, physically, spiritually. You know, got the oatmeal in the morning.
Oh man,
You
you're
know,
on the train, man. You're on the
and
train.
then I got the, you know, and then
Uh,
I'm doing the,
I saw your
you
challenge.
know that one.
You did the C10 do 10.
Yeah, what's up? You didn't do it. What's going on?
No,
Oh no, you did.
I challenged Aaron, and Aaron challenged you.
Oh, that's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
Oh man, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna come out of this like cut, bro. Let's go. What up?
I'm definitely not going to come out of this cut.
Come on, I want to see the chiseled Trev.
It's not happening, bro. It's not happening.
Well, I really appreciate you taking almost an hour out of your day today to get on the old phone there and check in with you, bro.
Yeah, man, I'm really grateful and honored to have been invited, and it was just a benefit for me just to connect with you personally, see what's up, because we've been so busy. But
Aaron says bench press next. Yeah, let's go.
oh, is he commenting?
Oh yeah, he's been commenting a bunch, but I've like laughed at them, and then I was like, oh, let's see.
Oh, bench, there he is. That's nice. Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, let's see what's the new move. You gotta bench press your dog, and then
Oh
we
man.
gotta all do that or something. But yeah, no, it's good. It's good to check in with you.
Yeah.
And see your beautiful face, hear your beautiful stories, and give my love to Emery and
I will.
Pup.
I will.
And,
She sends her love right back for sure. And yeah, just let's connect again soon, man.
Absolutely.
This was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you all for tuning in today.
Yeah.
And kicking it with us. Y'all take care of each other and take care of yourselves. We'll chat again soon.